So, you use your personal car for your business, right? And you know you can deduct some of those expenses. But how much exactly? What actually counts? Is it the gas, the insurance, part of your car payment? Yeah, it can get confusing and fast. Well, that's exactly what we're going to clear up right now. We're going to break down precisely how to calculate your business vehicle expenses so you get back every single dollar you deserve.
Just a quick note, this explainer was put together by Samir Al-Rishalani with some help from AI.
Okay, here's how we're going to tackle this. First up, we'll look at what you can actually deduct. Then, and this is the big one, we'll get into separating business versus personal use. After that, we'll hit the actual formula. It's super simple, I promise. We'll even walk through an example with someone named Danielle to see it in action. And finally, we'll cover a couple of important exceptions to the rule. Sound good? Let's jump in.
All right, first things first. Before we even think about math, you gotta know what to keep track of. So think of this next part as your expense tracking toolkit. These are all the costs that you can potentially claim.
And wow, check out this list. It's pretty comprehensive, right? We're talking about the obvious stuff, of course, like your fuel and oil, but also things people totally forget about, like the interest on your car loan or your leasing costs. And yep, if you've got an EV, your electricity counts too. The best way to think about it is that all of these costs are going to go into one big pot, and we'll figure out how much of that pot you can deduct a little later on.
Okay, one quick but really important point here. You're probably thinking, hey, what about the car losing value over time? That's called depreciation, or officially, capital cost allowance, CCA. And yes, you absolutely can deduct it, but it's a totally separate calculation that goes on a different line of your tax form. So for right now, just to keep things clear, we're only focusing on those day-to-day running expenses we just saw.
All right, now we're getting to the absolute heart of the matter. This is the core principle of everything we're talking about today, separating your business use from your personal use. I mean, unless you have a work vehicle that you never, ever use for a personal trip, like not even once, you just can't deduct 100% of your costs. It's as simple as that.
So that leads to the million-dollar question, right? How in the world do you split those costs fairly? You can't just, pick a number out of thin air. The tax authorities need a logical, consistent method. And the good news is, it's actually really straightforward.
And here is the answer perfectly laid out. It all boils down to one key idea: your business use percentage. Seriously, this is the magic number. It's just a simple ratio. You take the kilometers you drove to earn income and divide that by the total kilometers you drove all year, period. That percentage is the key that unlocks your deduction.
Okay, so we know what to track, and we get the big idea behind the business use percentage. So now let's actually look at the formula. And don't worry, you don't need to be a math whiz for this. It's super simple.
And boom, there it is. You just take your business kilometers, divide them by your total kilometers. That little calculation gives you your business use percentage. Then you just multiply that percentage by your total expenses. Everything from that big list we saw earlier. And what you're left with? That's your deductible amount. See? Simple. A formula is one thing, but seeing it work with real numbers is what makes it click. So let's bring in a real-world example. Meet Danielle. She's a small business owner who uses her van for work, and we're going to go through her numbers for the tax year. All right, let's break down Danielle's year. So she drove a total of 30,000 kilometers. Out of that, a whopping 27,000 kilometers were for business, things like deliveries or runs to suppliers. And when she added up all her costs, gas, insurance, maintenance, the whole shebang, it came to $5,400 for the year. We've got all the pieces of the puzzle right here. So we're going to do this in 3 super simple steps. Step 1, we'll find her business use percentage. Step 2, we'll apply that percentage to her total expenses. And Step 3, we'll tack on a couple of those special costs that are 100% deductible. Easy peasy. Okay, Step 1. We take her business kilometers, which was 27,000, and we divide that by her total kilometers, 30,000. The math there is pretty simple. It gives us 0.9, or in other words, a 90% business use. So basically 90% of the time that van was on the road, it was making her money. Moving on to Step 2, we take that magic number we just found, 90%, and we multiply it by her total expenses, which were $5,400. So 90% of $5,400 comes out to $4,860. And there you have it. That's the lion's share of her deduction. So, just based on her driving log, Danielle can claim $4,860 of her vehicle expenses. That's a huge chunk of change. But hold on, we are not quite finished. There's one more little piece we need to add to this puzzle.
And that brings us to our final and very important section, the exceptions to the rule. Because while most of your costs get that percentage treatment, there are a couple of special expenses you can deduct in full. Yep, 100%.
And this lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got all those prorated expenses we just calculated. But on the other side, we have these special cases. We're talking about parking fees, but only for business purposes, like a client meeting, and any extra supplementary business insurance you pay for. These guys, you claim the full amount, no percentage needed.
So let's jump back to Danielle for a second. Turns out she also paid $40 in parking for business meetings this year, and she had a $100 supplementary insurance policy just for the business side of things. So we take that big number we already calculated, the $4,860, and we just add these two amounts right on top.
And there you have it. Her final total deduction for her vehicle expenses for the year is a nice clean $5,000. That's her prorated amount plus those couple of exceptions. See how following the steps just leads you right to a clear, totally justifiable number? No guesswork involved.
Now, I have to be super clear about something. None of this works without proof. This quote right here is probably the most important thing to remember from this entire explainer. The whole calculation we just did, it's completely dependent on you having an accurate logbook. You have to keep a record of your total kilometers and your business kilometers. It's just non-negotiable.
So, I'm going to leave you with this one question. You've seen the math. It's not that hard. The rules are pretty clear. Really, the only thing standing between you and getting the maximum deduction you're entitled to is a good record. So are you tracking every single business kilometer? Because every single one you log is money back in your pocket.